Okay, let's take a look at this example 5, which is two consecutive positive multiples of 3 have a product of 54. What is the sum of the two numbers? Now remember, most of these problems, if your algebra is really, really good, you can use algebra to create the problem and solve it. But most of the problems are also common sense problems. So I don't want you to, that is why I said if your math is still not strong, you should be able to do well in the SAT if you follow the methods I'm teaching here in this class. So the first clue is there are two numbers, right? These are two, they said there are two consecutive numbers. So obviously there are two, it can be more than two. And then they also consecutive, that means they come back to back. And they are all positive also. And also they are multiple of 3. So let's look at the multiples of 3. Multiples of 3 are 3. Of course, I go to 6, I go to 9, maybe 12, I go to 15. These are all multiples, of 3. All right, hope you know the multiples of 3. And so this satisfies the multiples of 3 here, which is fine. And they say that they are consecutive and they are 2. So I can take this and this, I can take this and that, I can take this and this, and this and that. They are just 2. So, but the first clue is when you multiply the 2, you get 54. So obviously the only choice here that satisfies this multiplication rule is this one. So if I take these 2 and I add them, which is what I'm looking for, then I should get 15. So these are two multiples. I mean, they are two multiples of 3, and they are consecutive. And when I also multiply, I get 54, and when I add them, I get 15. So obviously your answer is 15. Now, if you want to solve this algebraically, how will you do that? Well, then I say, well, my first multiple is x. The second one will be x plus 3 because they are multiple of 3. And when I multiply the two together, that means x times x plus 3 has to be equal to 54. Right? So this becomes, so if you are in the quadratic sense, that is why this is a part of the quadratic. So x squared plus 3x is equal to 54, right? So I can simplify this as x squared plus 3x minus 54 is equal to 0. As you can tell, I can have this, so I have negative 54 as the factor that I need to worry about. So when I take maybe positive 9, negative 6, right? Would that work? Yeah, positive 9, negative 6 uh, will work when I take 9 and 6. Uh, that will give me minus 54. When I add them together, I get plus 3x. So that means I get x plus 9, x plus minus 6 is equal to 0. So obviously s is equal to 6 or s is equal to minus 9. But remember, I'm looking for positive values of s. Therefore, if my first x is 6, then my second x will be equal to x plus 3, which is equal to 6 plus 3, and therefore that's equal to 9. So the two numbers will be x is equal to 6, and then x2 will be equal to 9. All right, that is how you deal with that. And then when you sum them, you get 15. So you can use this approach to do it, except that it's more mathematical and there is no need to waste your time using this approach if you can use this, do common sense with this one.